G'day guys, I'm so happy to be able to say this. In iRacing, we're here at North Wilkesboro in a 1987 Chevy Monte Carlo. Brilliant. I've been waiting for, of course, North Wilkesboro, there wasn't a very long wait for, it kind of got announced and made and released very, very quickly. But the iRacing community, the anybody who's into stock cars has been asking for something like this for so long. It's not even funny. And I've been waiting for it myself pretty much since I got iRacing. And I'm just thrilled that it's finally here. When these cars got announced, I was just just counting down the days till I got our hands on them. And yesterday came out, and fortunately had a week off this week, so I've been able to spend a bit of time getting to know it and driving it around. Normally, when a new piece of content like this comes out, I do a video called Worth Your Money, where we basically just go through and try to figure out whether or not the car's going to get a lot of participation and whether or not it's actually worth buying, or whether it's going to be something that everyone's going to jump on while it's new and then just abandon it, which happens with a lot of the stuff. So unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, with this car there is absolutely no way that I can give an unbiased opinion on that. I'm just way too excited to get my hands on this thing, so I can't I can't even be objective. Anything I say, you can pretty much throw out about whether or not it's worth your money to buy it, because I'm just, I'm a huge fan of it, and I couldn't possibly be objective. So I'm not even going to try that. I'm just going to take it for a few laps, show you guys what it's all about. Had a race here last night in the NASCAR League, just a fun race that we put up. Unfortunately, I did actually record that, and that was going to form the basis for this video, but unfortunately my internet decided to disconnect halfway through the race, lost about 14 laps, came back and still finished, but yeah, it didn't make for entertaining viewing. So anyway, here we are. So I guess, sort of looking around the car, it is as you'd expect it to be. It's big, it's heavy, it's softly sprung, it's got low aero, and it's got a ton of power. The Ford Thunderbird, which has come out the exact same time to run with this car, Bill Elliott's old Thunderbird, if I get it right, is every bit as cool. I wound up with a Chevy because the team I drive for in iRacing generally sticks to the GM stuff where possible, so we're all running the Chevy. But I'm fairly sure that everything that I say here about this car is equally applicable to the Thunderbird. All right, so let's go have a run around. And the first thing is the gearbox in this car. It's difficult. I mean, you can upshift if you get it exactly right without the clutch, but just for reliability's sake, I've been using the clutch, because I've just been screwing it up more times than it's worth. And of course, good old North Wilkesboro here, which is a track a lot of people, including myself, would love to see restored and brought back, even if not for NASCAR Cup, for local racing or something like that. You get some people saying that it's feasible, you got other people saying it's not. I live on the other side of the world, so I can't say with any authority. All I can say is I'd love to see it come back, just because I'm really sort of interested in motorsport history and tradition, and this, I think I'm right in saying, was NASCAR's first ever sanctioned track, and it's an important part of history. And you can see the way the unique feature of this track is that we go uphill here, then we come around and we're clearly going downhill, probably overdriving it a little bit, who cares. We're going back down the hill here. They didn't have the money to level the ground when they first built this place, and so it's got an uphill and a downhill stretch. So about the car, It doesn't. To look at it, you'd think it would handle terribly. It really doesn't. It doesn't. Like, it doesn't handle like a modern day cup car, of course, but it's a lot better than you think it is. It's not that unlike the ARCA car that's already in iRacing in terms of handling. It's probably a little bit less forgiving than that car is, but that's probably what it's most like if I had to make a comparison. With more power. Well, it feels like it's got more power. It's been a while since I've driven the ARCA, so I could be wrong. But it feels more powerful. A bit faster. And the other thing about this as well that I love is that you can really wring the neck of it. Like, you can absolutely wring the neck of it. The tyres are a lot more robust than they are in the modern day cars. So say, for example, a modern day cup car, anybody really who's driven any of the stock car racing content in iRacing will know how sensitive the tyres are. And one of the things that, I mean, I love that style of racing. It's pretty much all I do. But one of the things that I always find frustrating is how big a factor tyre saving is in what you do. I understand that's sort of the nature of it, but you know, you're driving around on eggshells a lot of the time, just trying to get better tyre life than the guy in front, and it's hard to really attack like you want to do because you're always just trying to save the tyres. But in this, the tyres are a lot more robust. They're a lot harder compound, they feel. That it definitely hasn't got the grip, but a lot of that's down to the aero. But last night, I think there were guys, we had a 200 lap race, and there were guys doing around about 140 laps. Well, I think one guy did around about 144 laps on a set of tyres. He did get pretty slow by the end of that run, as you'd expect. But I think after I came back into the server, after my internet died, I came back in and I took tyres and came back out. And I drove the whole last half of the race. It was around about 100 laps or something. Maybe a bit less than that, possibly. Maybe 80 laps or whatever. But I was pretty much still doing the same lap times, very close lap times the whole way through that stint. There wasn't the drop off that you get with the modern day cars. And that's with a whole bunch of... I was driving really aggressive too. So I was 14 laps down, and you know, it kind of gets to the stage, well, what the hell. So you know, you can chuck it into the corners, get on the power early, slide the back end a little bit like that, and the tyres won't punish you for it. They're not going to overheat and go off the way the modern day tyres do, which is really, really nice to actually be able to hustle one of these cars if you want to. I mean, sure, you're going to hurt the tyres more if you do it, but it's not the all-consuming factor than it is in the modern cars. So what else? Aero push, not a thing. I mean, certainly around this track it wouldn't be anyway, but sort of in general, the horrible aero push that you get in the modern cup car, you don't get in this. Because it has no aero, really. I mean, it's got a tiny little deck lid spoiler, which is actually adjustable on this. It's not adjustable on the modern car, it's adjustable on these. There's actually a lot of things that are more... I thought it was going to be fairly simple in terms of like the amount of setup options that you had, but there's a ton. There's probably not as many items you can change as there is on the cup car, but say for example the track bar. I think on the modern cup car you've got like 3 options for each side, low, medium and high, and this one you can actually adjust in increments. So there's a lot of increments too, so it's got more fine adjustability in some areas than the modern car has. So I guess now there's not much left to do but jump into a race. They're not racing here at North Wilkesboro, unfortunately, this week. It's week 13. They're doing all the races at... they're doing them at Talladega at the moment. So I might just shoot over. I think there's actually a race about to start. We'll shoot over and go have a go at that and see how it turns out. All right, so here we are in a race. So we're at Talladega. It's week 13. It's a brand new car. Yeah, it's. I'm certainly not counting my chickens, and I might actually get to the end of this one. I've done two of these races so far, and I've had to dodge multiple wrecks in both. Um, so yeah, it's. I mean, I did manage to win one, so that's okay. It is possible to do, but you never do know what's going to happen. It's week 13. It's crazy. And super speedways in the official races generally turn into wreckfest anyway, but fortunately there's no cautions in this, so we're not going to have to worry too much about spending the whole race under caution or anything like that. Now, normally I don't like super speedway racing to drive. I don't mind watching it, but I just don't like driving it. I just don't enjoy the pack racing, and I just don't like it. So, but this is a little bit different because you're not stuck in a big pack, no restrictors. You do have to drive them somewhat. You can get up to around about 340k an hour in a two-car draft, and if we get in behind this guy here, you just see the way the speeds go up after we get out on the straight. Although, he led me into the wall. Very, very easy to do in these is to hit that wall in turn two. Had a couple of people do it behind me, and so that's obviously what happened there. So, alright, so anyway, the warm-up has just ended, so we'll get a chance to get around there pretty soon and start racing. But yeah, you really actually have to. It's not just one of these where like with the restrictor plate, with the modern cars, with the aero and everything else, especially if you're lapping solo. You just basically say you can just about do it one-handed. Like, it's no challenge at all. But this car, even on its own, is a challenge. Car slides around, and you're really sliding into the turns. So yeah, it's really cool. It was really cool. I enjoyed my races yesterday. Fingers crossed today's pretty good too, because I don't want to have to record tons of these to get a good one, so hopefully this is a good one. Wait, 18 seconds left till we get going. They do make us do a full pace lap, which is... They've just given us the option in iRacing to do a short pace lap, and I think that here probably would have been a good place to advertise that by including it. Surrounded by a few Chevys. They did release a Thunderbird as well. I think there's actually... Yeah, my wheel's still turned, isn't it? There's actually one just back there a little bit. The Chevy seems to have been a lot more popular than the T-Bird. I'm not sure why. T-Bird's actually a really nice looking car. It's looks a lot more like the next generation Lumina that came after the Monte Carlo that we're driving here. And I imagine that was a copy of the aerodynamics on the T-Bird, because if you remember, Bill Elliott's T-Bird just dominated these super speedways. And but yeah, there seems to be a ton more Chevys out. In all the races I've done, there's been tons of Chevys. I'm not sure if it's the Earnhardt factor or what, but anyway, we'll get rolling. We're starting up front, which is pretty cool. Hopefully that means most of the carnage happens behind us, but certainly no guarantee. The old Levi Garrett scheme. That's a great scheme. Look at it. Great retro scheme. I'm fortunate enough to be sponsored, so I got to run what I'm told. But that's a cool scheme. And I think that T-Bird behind us might be the cool wiki scheme. Now, a lot of guys here are starting in first. I started in second last time and I got kind of left behind, so I might try a first gear start this time. Most people seem to say start in first gear.
Double check your steering wheel, get a good look at your switches. You're ready to go.
And this gearbox, as I said,
Alright, my man, pace car's off. You ready?
is a little difficult sometimes. Or at least I'm finding it difficult. Old school box. It's not, certainly not as easy as the modern box to get your shifts right. Waiting up a long time. Okay, I think I shifted too early because that bogged down, but we're on the way.
Side. Still there at the bottom. Still there. You're clear, clear. Working the bottom, inside.
Of course, living in Australia, one of the things that you always struggle with, especially in races in really close contact like this, is netcode. It's just the nature of it, unfortunately. So you do run into that a little bit, so we could run afoul of that here as well. You can see the cars jinking around in a way that they're probably not jinking around themselves. It's just a netcode thing. So I haven't really got a hole to get through here. I'm not flat out. I'm just sitting in the draft at the minute. And already we're at 330k an hour. I wasn't even flat out. Oh, this is going to get horrible pretty soon. Whoa.
Still there, door.
Copped a hit. We've survived.
Outside. In and out. Still there. Only one outside right now.
Actually, most guys, like in this, like normally week 13 is terrible. But most guys in these races so far have actually been pretty sensible. Like, sure, there's wrecks, but it's not from people being stupid. It's just because they're hard to drive.
Clear up top.
So, and everyone's still learning them. Go up the top here. I really don't want to be here, but car's bumping us. I kind of feel like something's going to... Oh, it's 3 wide behind as well. Got a guy trying to make the top groove go. He's brave. He's brave. I don't like being in the middle. These things sway around way too much. I do not like being in the middle. Ah, what are you doing? Fuck. Alright, it's over. Alright, so that is bad. I don't know, do I have fast repair?
Inside. Clear.
Damn it.
Outside.
Do I have a fast repair? That was always going to happen. Alright, we've got a fast repair. Awesome. So we're going to turn off the fuel. Turn off the tyres.
Outside. Clear high.
Go in, get a fast repair. Get going. Although to be honest, that's pretty much like, oh man, I only made like 3 laps. It felt like a lot longer than that. But we'll come down. Looks like this guy in front of me is coming down as well. Oh, am I going to get slowed up? Looks like it, yeah. A lot of guys wound up on their roof, had to take a tow by the looks because everyone's got that fast repair.
Go, man, go, 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 go. All out.
Hopefully, when we get out here, we find someone to draft with. So we can maybe make up some time. Because otherwise it's going to be a pretty boring video. See if I can latch onto the back of these guys. Oh, might be a bit of a big ask. Oh, what am I doing? I'm driving one-handed to try and get my relative up. I press the button to get my relative up just to straight the wall, so that was smart.
Door outside. Clear.
Fortunately, unlike its modern cousin, a little bit of aero damage won't kill you. I am picking up a bit of draft from those guys in front. Maybe a bit from the guy behind too. Oh, the old Snickers scheme. Sick.
Inside. You're clear him.
How involved with this pack do we get? Well, it's week 13, so obviously the answer is very.
Inside. Still inside. Too wide inside.
Oh!
Still
I don't know how that came across on the video, but that was
Still inside.
remarkably close to much death.
Inside. Still inside.
Makes you respect the guys who used to do this for real, that's for sure. With the almost no safety they had. I mean, you look at the seats, it's even in the cars, it's
Clear.
not even much more than just a chair.
Inside. Still there at your door. Still there at the bottom. All clear, my man. Outside.
Oh, we got one off.
Outside. Clear high. Outside. Still outside. Still outside.
Oh,
In and out.
well held. I thought he was going to shoot back into me. What a
Clear high.
great save by him. This guy's for position, so I wouldn't mind getting around him.
Inside. Still inside. Door clear. Inside.
Oh,
Still inside.
that turn 2 is the worst part, like absolutely the worst part.
Inside. Still inside. Clear inside. Inside, inside, inside. Still there. Still there. 10 to go this time. Still inside.
Shame about that wreck at the start, but hey, week 13's going to
Inside.
do what week
inside.
13 does. And I mean, official races on iRacing, especially on super speedways, are pretty damn awful a lot of the time anyway. At least this one's going to run green the whole way. Get some racing in. Well, it happened to him again. He saved it, but he hasn't kept momentum.
Inside. Clear low.
See if I can get on the back of Chris here.
Good job, man. You're up here on the board now.
Got one off on the left. It's a little step in the banking on that lowest level on the tri-oval. A lot of guys are going down there. I don't like going down there. What? Holy shit! There's Tim again. The guy who spun down the bottom before, lost all his momentum. He picked that back up, didn't he? Came through like a rocket. And he's for position as well, so it's pretty much the only guy I'm racing. Love how much the cars just move around on the track. They're not like the modern high aero cars. They just stick to the ground. These things, you know, they haven't got a lot of aero, and they're really softly sprung. They sort of bounce around, and when they bounce, they carry that momentum across to the outside of the, you know, they bounce across the track. It's not as easy as just holding them in a lane. I mean, before when we were 3 wide, that was really, really hard not to bang into anyone. You know, I was sure for the guys around me as well, and unfortunately that accident happened with guys doing the same in front. But you see the way the car in front's just the momentum, even through, like we come down here through the tri-oval, and the car's bouncing, and you know, it gets unstable there on that little seam between the lower groove and the next groove up. And this here is actually the battle for the lead. I'm not sure how involved I want to get involved in this. I mean, it's week 13, so the answer is probably very, but I'm going to catch a lot of hate if we cause a wreck up here, so I might just sit off them. They probably will wreck themselves, to be honest. I mean, week 13, battle for the lead, coming to the line. Looks like Tim's going to get involved in it. He's not holding back, so let's see what he does. Oh, he's going to take a 3 wide. This could be interesting. This is also, there he goes, and there he goes. So that's how interesting it was. And we've only got 2 laps left, so I'm just going to hang off and stay out of this one. I don't want to wreck these guys' race for the win. I'm not racing anyone now. The guy who spun was my last rival on my lap. Oh, there they go. And it's this kind of stuff that's happened. You know, that's how the race I won yesterday actually ended. Just 2 guys getting into each other. You could see it happening. Backed off them a little bit, let them wreck, came through and won it. So there's a lot of that. So now it's just down. We've actually got a really good seat here for the battle for the win. It's just become a three-way fight. Oh, that move around the outside like that he just did there is so hard to do. Just swinging around and carrying all your momentum without lifting up to the high line and using it to drive around, which he's trying to do. And now it's a four-way battle for the win. Looks like the guy on the low line might have it, although he's blocking. Look at it. Look at it. I don't think I've ever seen four cars wreck across the line for the win before. That's a new one. Ended up P7. Anyway, so that should give you a bit of an idea about how these cars race, at least on the super speedways. I love them. As I said, I've been waiting for these forever, and now they're here. I'm not disappointed. It's really, really cool. I'm going to be driving a lot of these. The league that I run is going to be running a series for them. So yeah, I'm going to be driving a lot of these. So really enjoy it, and actually seem to be sort of competitive in them too. So just straight off the bat, which is nice. So yeah, that's basically it. I'm going to have a look at that finish again. That was ridiculous. Pretty much starts when this guy in the 12 tries to make a move down on the apron. And he's never going to be able to get it turned because it's flat down the apron. Oh, that's gold. What a great finish. Alright, so anyway, that pretty much sums it up. So yeah, like I say, I'm going to be spending plenty more time in these. But yeah, they're great. They're really, really great. So yeah, that's all from me anyway. If you guys are doing your own races in these, maybe leave a comment. Let us know how they're getting on, how you're enjoying it, how you're finding it. And yeah, look, apart from that, I guess I'll see you next time.